It looks like we're facing the right direction, which is good. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Berkenda. On behalf of the Orange Chamber of Commerce, welcome to the July installment of Eggs and Issues. Today, we have a very special guest, our new city manager, 𝘰𝘀𝘀𝘀. Before we get started, though, I want to make sure that you guys know that this is for you guys out here in the audience. So those of you on Facebook Live, we do have about 30 people here having breakfast. You can probably hear the clink of breakfast platters. We're here at Haven, so they will be asking live questions. If you have a chance and you want to type something in the chat, I believe somebody's on Facebook. We will ask you to go ahead and submit those questions. We'll get them to them as we have time. Before I get started with you, Rob, I would like to read a little bit about you, if that's okay.
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 Not too long.
They're not too long.
It's embarrassing.
Some of them are really long. It gets long. It is my pleasure to introduce this morning's guest speaker, City of Orange City Manager 𝘰𝘀𝘀𝘀. At their March 8th, 2022 meeting, the Orange City Council voted unanimously to approve a 3-year contract with 𝘰𝘀𝘀𝘀 as City Manager of Orange, starting on March 14th, 2022. The City Council selected Rob based on his solid track record of success and his ability to bring a fresh perspective to the city organization. As City Manager, Rob will also embrace the traditions and historic legacy that is the hallmark of the Orange community. Rob comes to Orange from the city of Fountain Valley, where he was city manager since 2017. Rob has over 25 years of public service that has spanned from federal, state, and local government roles. His city experience started in 2005 at the city of Carlsbad. From there, he moved to the city of Newport Beach, where he filled a number of roles, including deputy city manager, prior to his move to Fountain Valley. He and his wife are proud parents to a high school junior son who loves to golf and a college senior daughter who is looking to start a career in city administration when she is done. Rob enjoys playing basketball and golf, as well as spending time with his family, including traveling whenever possible to sunny and tropical locales. Rob is looking forward to getting out into the community and learning more about all the many things that make Orange a great place to work, live, and play. Rob, we are so happy to have you here today. I know that you have a very busy schedule, as do all of our guests here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Glad you could make it. Well, I made reference to this when we chatted a little bit beforehand, but you are just past, I believe, your first 100 days. You're probably at like 130 or so. What does that feel like?
Feels great. It's certainly a lot of information. Orange has so much history. It has so much going on, so much variety, and so many involved people. So that 100 days or whatever the number is,
right.
I've tried to spend a lot of time getting to know all the players, the places, touring the neighborhoods, trying out the restaurants. There's a lot of them. And it's been really, it's been maybe too many restaurants, but it's been great. And just seeing the energy in the community, the passion for the community was really one of the things that attracted me, because I really like to work in communities where people are engaged. Mm-hmm. You get the passion, and with that, of course, you maybe get more opinions and more debate, but I really see that's what a community or a democracy makes it healthy. And so I really like that. And so I've really appreciated getting to know everyone, seeing so many both great staff, but also just great community members that, although they may have differences, there's a common goal, there's a passion for making Orange better. Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed meeting everyone, touring. I've got a few more places to check out and people to meet, but so far so good.
That would be an exciting time, kind of touring all the city with fresh eyes. I know that's how I felt. I think it's about a decade that I kind of made those same rounds and did that same thing with the restaurants where I ate a little bit too much.
Yeah.
So for those of us who may not know, and I know this answer, and I know many of you here know this, but there are so many new businesses in the city. Can you kind of just like backtrack a smidge for maybe somebody who doesn't know, like how does a city manager fit into the scope of that city function and the organization with the mayor and the city council? Like what does that look like with the departments?
So like onboarding new businesses, would that be
it?
Or
like what do you do?
Oh, just big picture then. Gotcha.
Big picture, what do you do?
All right. Well, the city council, who is elected by everyone in the community, they then need to hire somebody, an administrative full-time person who would be, they're like the board of the organization, and then they need a CEO. So that's essentially what a city manager is. So they're hired full-time, and their job is to then look after the organization, follow the policies and direction the council gives, but then do all the daily work, the hiring and supervision of all the staff below that. And so that's police chief, fire chief, public works director, library director, HR, finance, planning. I'm thinking, community services. So there's a lot of 750 staff to oversee. There's the city council also elects a city hires a city attorney who looks after the attorney side. So the two of us are directly report to the council, and then we're handling this. I'm handling the bulk of the staff, the attorney staff, and then that's the day-to-day operations. So council will typically be in the policy level. Where do we want new development in the city? What should we be doing about certain, rules, regulations? What's the community want to be big picture? And then I'm working with triaging, like which projects should we prioritize, budget, staffing issues, community issues, trying to help out, just support our really good staff where needed to help them be more efficient and more effective. Troubleshoot if there's something that flares up in the community, work with the council, try to triage that so we can help be as supportive as possible. And so that's kind of a general oversight. But I think for a business mind, council being the board and the city manager being the CEO maybe helps
That's a
connect
great way to think of it. That is a great way to think of it. I think when you already know what it is, you don't I didn't think of it that way, but that's a great way to explain it to people. Thank you so much for that.
No problem.
Well, we are here in glorious downtown Orange. So let's start there with what's going on here. I know you mentioned there's some new things going on here in downtown, so maybe some new businesses, some changes in ownership. What's going on down here in downtown?
Well, certainly I can't say that I know everything that's going on, but I can share with you what I know. Okay. I think everyone's aware that the downtown, the plaza is, of course, the jewel of Orange, and there's, and I have not been here for the 40, 50 years that many around this table or have been, so they've seen more change than me, but from catching up on the history, there's certainly been an acceleration of some fine dining establishments. We're in Haven right now, which is a great example of that, but just the acceleration of that, new businesses coming in, replacing old businesses, and so there is some transition, sort of maybe some loss of some places, but then some excitement of new. And so we've got, just recently, of course, Finney's just to the west of us has opened up a great facility, very expensive rebuild of a historic building. That's part of the benefit and the sort of the struggle of coming into this area is you have to look to preserve, which can be expensive to do. You have to work through a lot of historical rules to make it done, but the people that have come in here really have respected that, and then the new and improved businesses that we get are really high quality. And so Haven's a great example of that. They've opened up across the street. Black Dot Coffee has just opened up right beside them. Just ate lunch there. Blue Water just ate lunch yesterday there. Tried them out. So that's a new.
How was that? I tried to get in the other day and I could not get in.
It's a chain, I guess. Busy. They have maybe 40 in the U.S. Australian based, I think.
Okay.
Breakfast or brunch all day.
Oh.
And they're open until 4 p.m.
No wonder I couldn't get in. It was Friday and there was no.
Yeah. So that was good. That was good. And then we've got a new boba shop, boba Asian mix going in close to City Hall. I happen to like milk tea, so that was good. I think 𝘕𝘀𝘀𝑅icky was involved with that. Thank you, Al. But that's going in nearby. Recently in the can't mention the Sunkist building right here. The Coddles are working on retrofitting that building.
Very nice.
Ask them. I won't spoil the surprise. They may want to share at some point what they're planning there, but I do know it'll be a restaurant, and I'm excited just to get to see inside that building because I heard it's really historic and exciting. That'll be coming soon. And then just recently, right now in the news, Watson's, which is of course a real jewel of the plaza for years and years and years, has I think been struggling over the last number of years, and so they've given notice that they're going to cease operation, and there's a new restaurant that's proposing to come in called Hector's, who has some chains around, and there's been some discussion about that. But certainly that's part of that changing dynamic and trying to work through that with the community and figure out how do we grow forward.
Right.
And understand with that we do transition to different types of businesses. I know Biblos is another example where the The founders wanted to retire, but they managed to work out a deal with the Boss Cat owner so that they're going to keep Bilboes. The son's going to stay involved, so it's going to be preserved.
Okay.
So that's just a few off the top of my head there, but it's a lot of energy in the community, a lot of things happening.
Okay. And then with the Paseo, I know Anna Pahushek was here in, I believe, May, and so she kind of gave a lot of color on the Paseo project, but then also the North Tustin specific plan. So with the Paseo project, has anything changed with that since, I guess, May?
No, they were doing some environmental work, and I haven't actually gotten an update in the last month, but they were trying to do necessary work. Whenever you're trying to do any change, there's different steps. So the environmental work is just see if there's any impacts to if there was closures, full closures, parts of year. So there's an analysis that's why we hire the planners. They like that. Not that exciting. Okay. So no change yet. Okay. There should be something in the fall that spits out on the next phase of that conversation.
Okay. And then with the North Tustin specific plan, where are we at with that plan? Or is there anything new with that at all? Yes,
there's a fair bit of energy that the community around that area has generated in the last probably few weeks. And so that plan was generally, if you have ever gone up Tustin, Catella, the Village Mall area, you've got a whole bunch of different types of businesses, quite a a mix. I wouldn't say there's a theme, or maybe the connections, even the way the driveways are, everything's a little, use a technical term, hodgepodge. And so with that, there was a thought of, is there a way, where do we want to grow forward there? Is there a theme? Is there sort of an overlay that we could, with a specific plan, you can kind of layer on new zoning, which could give new opportunities, and maybe incentivize certain new things that we'd like to see there, and maybe decentivize things that we'd like to see less of. Like, if you want a vibrant commercial center, you might want more, like, say, a restaurant, or maybe a retail store, and maybe not a self-storage place or something, like, so right now it's kind of wide open zoning, and so what you see there is anything can be plunked in there, and it kind of looks like that. So what should that roadmap be for the future? That was the specific plan concept. It included the mall area. There's some very engaged people around the mall that have been engaged in that live there, and they've been worried about the concept of apartments going there. Some of the mall redevelopments, as they're struggling to get through the Amazon world, are looking at adding some mall condominiums or apartments, and that group just really is against that. So they've been making that known. So council is actually going to revisit the plan in the August meeting, and just see if they want to adjust the scope of what the plan is a bit based on that feedback. So they'll give us direction if they want to kind of focus it a little bit, tell us how they want to adjust it. Again, it's only a plan. Nothing's been approved. It doesn't have to even be finished till September of next year. So it's not pending. There's no change to any of the land use, but there's energy worried that it's going to go the wrong way. So we're really at a plan stage. The goal of everyone, the council, I think the community, is to make that a nicer future, not to destroy it. And so that's where everyone's weighing in with opinions, and the council will give us direction as to what direction we should head in the future.
Okay. And then how can someone, I guess, make sure they stay involved? Because I was not able to attend the meeting in person, the city council meeting, but I know there were, a lot of conversation about it. How can somebody make sure that they stay involved, I guess? Is there a way they can sign up online to stay involved in that, or? Certainly,
you could sign in for the news alerts that come from the city. You also, all city council meetings are recorded. They're streamed live, so you can watch them then they're recorded, and you can go back years and see any council meeting you want. So there's certainly that.
That's how I watched it. I watched it streamed.
That's right. So those are some good options.
Okay, perfect. And with that, I do want to just have a quick note. I don't see, is Council Member Barrios here today? I don't see her. No, she's not here. I just wanted to thank her. I know she gave a great kudos to the chamber, and so we really appreciate that. That was very nice, and it was very well thought out what she said. So Council Member Barrios, thank you so much. If you're watching live here on Facebook, hopefully, or on Instagram, thank you so much for sharing and recognizing what the chamber does and who we are in the community. We really appreciate it. Thank you.
I know someone over there that might pass on the information.
Please pass that on. Okay, let's move across town to Grijalva Park. You mentioned the master plan there. So can you share a bit about that plan and where we are with it?
Certainly. So 𝘰𝘴𝘴 Park, obviously a key jewel of the park system in the city, and in a great centralized location, and has already a recreation center with a gym and some meeting rooms. And there has been a vision for many years, predates me, of looking at some extra types of activity centers on that property.
Okay.
And so an early version of that master plan included the thought of an aquatic center, possibly, a skateboard park, and then a new senior center and library combination building, and then also GoCat Theater Group also would like to build a theater there. So there was a visioning plan, master plan with the space, and there are some extra building lots on that site, and so there was a plan to sort of place some of these ideas, and then the direction the groups were given is go get some funding. You know, the city is not going to be able to write all these checks,
right?
And if you can find it, then I think the mayor said, you know, we've got the land, and you bring the money to build, and so that's where it was at. The groups have been working at different paces and different plans over the years, and there's a desire to bring that back. We have some of the user groups that are excited about, like, we'd like to build some things. The aquatics group actually is sort of fallen out of the conversation, so we're going to show maybe some different ideas of rejigging some locations of some of the buildings that might help in the discussion.
A lot of land. It's about, what, 20 acres, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of space, but maybe it could be done. And then we want to get updates from each of the groups. Where are they at? What, you know, how's the fundraising gone? What do they? Is there an update to the, you know, the theater idea and the footprint, and then get the council, you know, current direction as to how they see us moving forward. And from the update, I think from the groups will be helpful. You know, if they're moving along and they're ready with the fundraising and they're getting close, ready to go, that's one thing. If everybody's maybe still quite a ways away, then we just want to hear from them, get input from the community, and then council can tell us, what do we do next?
Okay, perfect. It's a great park.
Yeah.
I know we have our Community Foundation of Orange meetings there, so it's a nice location.
Yeah, and July 3rd was really
July 3rd is there
fun
as well.
there too.
Yeah,
that was great.
Definitely. Let's move on and keep talking about parks. Hart Park, I know, received some funding. So can you tell us a little bit about that and what's going on with Hart Park?
Yes, Hart Park obviously is a key park in the city, and we try to have great relationships with our congressman, and 𝘠𝘳𝘢 arrived with a very generous $2 million towards pickleball court complex. And so pickleball, for those that haven't heard of it, it sounds very silly, but it is sweeping the nation. And so don't get in the way between some pickleball players and a pickleball court, or you'll get run over. But it's really a big deal. And so it's growing in communities all around, and there's court complexes where you'll get, you know, 4 or 8 of these or even more courts all in one area, and then a community will come and play. And so we don't have that facility in Orange, and there's a lot of requests for that. And 𝘠𝘠𝘢's group saw that. He was able to get some money, and so we are now working on a plan to site that in Hart Park, a pickleball complex. And we'll also do some other improvements with that money, but that's a key component that wasn't there, and we're thankful. And that would be a nice addition. We do have some temporary overlays at El Camino we've added on a court where it's still a tennis court, but they've put in some lines. If you are a pickleball player, you can at least have somewhere to play until those permanent courts are put in.
Okay. Do you play pickleball?
I have started playing pickleball, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually, it's actually good. I played tennis and stuff earlier in life, but I really see the draw socially. It's weird, but if you go to try to play tennis at a place, you tend to be there's all these, it's psychological almost. You're more distant, it's more spread out. You know when you hit the ball along, then you're walking all the way down to the back, so there's all this distance sort of when you're trying to play. Pickleball, it's so condensed, and so what's really good is I have someone just, Facebook can't see it, but Gina's right here. She's 12 feet from me, and we'd be playing like there. And so you tend to get people that they're interacting, they're joking around. they're talking, and then your court, like on say 2 tennis courts, you could have 8 pickleball courts.
Oh wow! Okay.
So then everybody's on the side waiting, they're talking, and then every complex I've gone to, people are, oh, you're new, get in here, like let's get you on playing and stuff. Like I also play basketball. You try to go to pick up basketball, it's like, you're new, forget it, like like you're on your own. Like it's just it's very welcoming. So I think that's part of the appeal is, and you get people, and then, hey, you know what? You're not that good and you're good. Let's pair you up with someone else and we'll make it balanced. And so it's even if you haven't played a sport. So I don't want to be the ambassador of pickleball, but I just want to say, when we build it, they will come. When we build it, they will come.
Well, that's the one thing I've heard. And when I saw that had happened, that the funding, that Orange had received that funding, I've heard it's such a great thing for the community because there's so many, it kind of is in all ages.
Yes.
And like you said, it's closer. And I have not played. I have very bad hand-eye coordination, but now that you're saying it's closer, maybe there's hope for me. I don't know, but I know it attracts a lot of people and it keeps the community close and it gives people something to do, and it's very welcoming, like you said. So that is nice that we've received that funding. So that's great. Yeah. Does anybody else here play pickleball?
No one's going to admit it. Oh, there we go, Barry. Thank you.
Between the two of you, somebody teach me.
Yeah, we're on it. Yeah, let's go.
Heading back into the city, let's talk about the fire station number 1 update. I know it's looking amazing. So tell us about that. What's going on over there? Sure.
Well, the city, prior to my getting here, the council approved a bond financing to take care of our old, historic, beautiful Station 1 here that was really getting past its life, long life ability. Years ago, the city had bought some land right just east on Chapman, just to the north of our water district, right on Chapman, and it was for that site. And there was just kind of a lull between the land and getting the funds together to build the new station. So all that's happened, and we are getting very close to when it's going to be ready to be operational and open. And so it's exciting. It looks beautiful. It's almost like, do we have to get the trucks in here and get everything messed up? But no, we need to do that. And so the fire team is so excited. Great investment by the community and council to make that a priority.
Right.
And the cool part is in September. We don't have an exact date, but we're just making sure we are done all the construction and the punch list is going to happen.
Okay.
But there'll be a community open house, and so
nice.
you all will get a chance to tour and see the great facility, and so that's coming soon.
And I know Sean will be here next month. I believe.
Well, he'll give you.
So I'm sure he'll hopefully by then, because it'll be the end of August.
He'll have a date.
He'll have a date by then. I'm
yes.
sure.
Yeah.
So that'll be great.
That'll
Something
be
to look
great.
forward to.
Yes.
I do not want to hog all of Rob's time, so I want you guys. Does anybody here have any questions? That's why you guys are here. Questions, anyone? You're all set. Oh, Adrian.
Well, Rob, you didn't go all the way east, so you've got to talk about the former Sully Miller site on the closure plan that potentially is in the works. What do you guys know about that?
Sure. So Sully Miller also came to council for an update. It's for anyone familiar with that. Haven't been here for the entire history, but obviously it's been an interesting history. A land that at one point was being used for gravel crushing and different processing, and has been abandoned for a long time and has big piles of some of that waste material on it. There's LEA is our agency, not the city, state agency that oversees waste dumps and sort of leftover industrial products, and so they've been engaged with the owner to review the site and determine what mitigation work needs to happen.
Okay.
Because the owners would like to develop it, but it's not going to be able to be developed unless they've addressed that. So that's in their hands right now.
Okay.
We gave an update to the council that that's where things are at right now. The developer needs to get that sorted out, and then if they want to propose something, then that's where there'll have to be a public process. There's 2 parts to the parcel. So there's the creek that runs through, 2/3 are probably to the south of the creek. There is a north parcel that actually didn't have rock crushing, didn't have any LEA issues, and so that is zoned for housing.
Okay.
And so that, depending on the developer's direction, they could decide to act on that northern piece and that might be a different conversation with less complications. Still public outreach and discussion and a process, but the southern parcel, I think, is where really the focus is of what needs to get done, how does it get restored, and then what use could it have afterwards. And so that's in play, but it's really at this point in the LEA's discussion about what needs to be done, and then there needs to be a path of what the owner wants to do, and then we'll hear later, I guess, if they want to submit a plan for that property. But right now, there's no plan with the city.
Okay.
Does that help, Adrian? Update? Okay.
I understand all that. I just wanted to have that be part of the discussion. Since Berkenda was taking us all the way to the whole city, that was the other side.
No
Thank
problem.
you, Adrian.
Yeah.
Sure.
Got to cover it all.
And is there going to be a task force put together on that oversight from the city side of things?
At this point, as I said, the ball's really in LEA's court, so I haven't got direction yet that there's going to be a specific task force. Our city is engaged with monitoring that, so I think at some point when it circles back and we get some specifics, we'll check in with council and see if they want to set up a task force. Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, I see a question.
I'd like to bring it back to Old Town.
Okay.
From Lockery. I'm on the board of the Old Town Preservation Association. And back in 2015, when Watson's asked to upgrade their liquor license, they said, we want to do it so we can have alcohol-infused milkshakes. We need it in order to be viable. And the city council said, okay. They put on a conditional use permit to the facility that's relatively strict to it. Now, obviously, we're going to get another use in there. I've looked them up online, what they're doing in Santa Ana. Personally, and from an OTPA perspective, I don't see that as being compatible for what we like to call our crown jewel here in the city in Old Town. So my question for you is, and I know this is kind of a roundabout way of getting to it, we have seen, and at the time, Mayor Tita Smith said there's an oversaturation of liquor licenses and restaurants in the Old Town area. This is back in 2015, and we've only seen an intensification since then. It seems like things are getting a little out of balance in terms of the area down here in the plaza of the protection of the resources here. So from a planning perspective, what do you guys do as city staff to ensure that there's adequate parking when you guys approve things? So is there, because it's done at the administrative level, and then planning commission, a lot of times it doesn't even go to city council. When they ask for an upgrade on their liquor license, or they ask for things like that, what do you guys do to protect the area, to make sure that the residents in the area are protected?
It's a good and complicated question. I think there's a combination of direction that council would give overall on what, and there's a history, not the current council, but Old Town, of course, has a long history. There's overlays of rules like parking requirements. There isn't a parking requirement if you switch out in the Old Town area. That doesn't happen in other places. So if you take a antique store that maybe had 6 cars used per hour, and then you renovate it and put in a 200-seat restaurant, if you're in East Orange, the question will be, where's your extra 50 parking spaces? In Old Town, there isn't that requirement. So that's just the way it's been historically for many, many, many years. And I understand way back then, there was more of a need to develop Old Town, so that it's like you don't want to put barriers from getting people in. So there's a benefit of that. The parking structure was built not too long ago to help provide new parking for here, and it's certainly a great resource. But I think as new development comes, without necessarily having to add parking, if you get an intensification of use over and over, more and more spaces, the parking will become an issue. But right now, there isn't that sort of parking requirement. There could be a different angle on that, where it's like you start requiring parking, or parking in lieu, some cities do, or you have to pay a fee. Then you start building up a fund to try to provide maybe another parking structure or something to offset that. Some cities do parking meters. That's certainly not popular, but it's just thinking through. The parking is a big part of the impact, but then there's also the private property ownership rights too that play into it. And so typically how the city has operated, this city and many cities, is those, you talked about the liquor license, which often will be ABC has a piece of that. They ultimately approve what liquor license you have, but once it's approved, then it slides into what we call a conditional use permit for those that aren't in the business, CUP, and then that, in this case, a restaurant, goes to planning commission and in some cases to council, depending on the discussion, to get an approval of hours of operations, their liquor license, can they have entertainment, you know, what, a bunch of rules. And so Watson's has a CUP, and if any operation has, Haven has one, if a new person buys the property, they get that set of rules with it. So it's got sort of a pass-through, and that's a property right that in most cities they let it pass through. So that takes sort of the ability for a city to jump in and say, well, a new owner, you know, we want to give you different rules. We want to curtail it. We want to restrict that. It's like, well, if they only ask for the exact same rules that the prior property owner had, they're entitled to that, unless there's something changed in how we operate it. But that's a typical sort of best practice. So with that, if the new operator wanted the exact same CUP rules that Watson's had, there isn't an easy insert for the city to do anything about that. However, if we're worried about how they operate, if they're going to be too loud, if they're going to have, you know, overserve people, there's going to be an impact to the community. Any new restaurant or current restaurant, our code enforcement and our police staff and our team works to get that under control. So we would still have those tools, but if you're, I also heard you referring sort of the intensification, the change, is it too much, is there a balance? That's really a council and a community conversation, and you know, OTPA, you know, where are we growing to, and is there a desire to, kind of like Tustin's specific plan, do we want to kind of have a specific plan that encourages certain uses and discourages others, to sort of shift the balance a bit? And you know, that's not my job. You know, I'm here to take the policy direction that the community and the council's doing. So if that conversation starts happening, great. But until then, as a sort of a city job, we follow the current policy and the current rules, which, as I explained them, would allow the CUP to transfer, not require additional parking, and that's sort of how we're operating here until we get told otherwise.
Thank you.
And the mayor's got more history on the whole Old Town than me. I'm jumping in new, but yeah, so appreciate the question.
We probably have time for one short question. Does anybody have anybody else? Any more questions? Okay. Well, I want to ask you one fun question.
All right.
So you've been here for now about 4 months. Do you have a favorite memory yet? Or even before, maybe you visited prior to coming to serve the city?
Well, I don't know, there's a lot of good things, a lot of good people I've met in good places. I think one of my favorite memories is I had an idea of how to jump into the city, because I do a lot of research before I took the job, knowing that there'd also, not only is there sort of a once a Panther, always a Panther, long, you know, how long have you been here? Orange forever, you know, like, and I'm the new guy coming in. So I was sensitive to that, and even in the organization, there's a lot of succession planning where internal staff kind of get promoted. So the new guy coming outside, especially lead the organization, hadn't happened in a long time. And so I was sensitive to that, so I worked before I got hired, a couple weeks before, to do a video. So I went around to different parts in town, and on one of them, I had a serious part of the video, and at the end I had humorous outtakes. And so one of them, the mayor was nice enough to meet me at the fountain, and so I met him there, and the serious part of the conversation was, you know, good to hear about, you know, the city. It's very important to, you know, and we kind of had an interview,
right,
and talked about what's important in the city, and he was welcoming me. But in the outtakes at the end, he was kind enough to film where I was doing kind of a pitch about how, you know, I'm here to change the city, and I'm here to meet all the important people of the city. I'm really going to focus on that. And then he comes across and goes, "Oh, hi, you know, Rob," you know, and I go, "Hey, can you get out of the way? I'm filming here. Jeez," you know, like, and I push him away, and I'm like, "This is good." Anyways, I got to meet the important people, and so he was good enough to be part of that, and I thought that's a great. I like a bit of humor, and to know that my boss, one of my bosses, and is willing to be into the fun
Yes.
and poke fun at. That was a good memory to know I could start off on a fun note and realize that I have a lot to learn,
Right.
but that I'm in it with a great team.
And you definitely are.
Yeah.
They are a great
Thank
team
you.
here in Orange. Everyone's great.
Thank you.
Well, before we go into some announcements, I want to make sure, so our members are our business community, business owners, business managers, and so I wanted to make sure, what's the best way that they can stay involved with the city? And I think we talked about this, but if you one more time, we'll tell everybody how can they keep abreast of what's going on here.
Well, certainly, I'd like to be more involved with the chamber. I've done that in the past when I worked at a city. It's so important to the community. Both the importance of the business owner making money, but selfishly, you guys make revenue for the city too,
Right.
and so we want to both be healthy. And so being involved with helping you be more successful helps more services and options for the community, also helps our revenue. So it's a real symbiotic relationship. I want to be there and help where I can.
Okay.
So certainly I'll be available. I know I've met many of the board members, but if there's chances to have these interactions or come and talk, I'd love to interact with you individually or as a group. And then with our team, where I'm actually going to be working with the council about doing a little bit of proposing a little more enhancement of our economic development connections. We used to have a whole wing. Over time, things changed, redevelopment went away, but I feel like there's a need to engage more with the business community, so I'd like to get people. We've got Aaron in
He's
the
right
house.
here.
Oh, he's hidden there?
He's right there.
Aaron, our senior assistant to the city manager, he's a great resource with the business community, so
Definitely.
getting Aaron even more connected, getting some extra help in there to really engage you more and be because Aaron's someone you can just call on the fly with a question or connect without having to wait till the next meeting.
Right.
So he can keep you appraised. You can check our news flashes. You've got the online council meetings as an option.
Perfect.
But let us know if we can do more.
Okay, we definitely will. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, we have a couple announcements. I know Elizabeth wanted to say a quick something about Grocery Outlet.
Yes, thank you so much, Rob, for joining us today. It's
Yeah,
fantastic.
thank you.
Thank you, Berkenda. Wonderful as usual. I just want to let you know that Orange Grocery Outlet, one of our members, is having a drive to raise money for food insecurity. So this year they're giving money towards the Assistance League as well as the Orange Senior Center. So they had a goal to reach $10,000 during the month of July. So when you go in there, you pay $5 either to them, and then you get a $5 coupon. So it's a win-win. You don't lose anything. They came to us yesterday, Mike and Melanie, and said, "Can you help us? Because we're only half where we need to be before July 31st." So we came up with an idea. If the chamber's going to give $100, if you match that $100 directly to Melanie and Mike, then you get to be in an opportunity drawing to win 2 tickets to the State of the City. Plus, you'll also be in there for many, many other raffles or opportunity drawings that they have at Orange Grocery Outlet. But we will be providing 2 tickets that hopefully you'd like to match us. We already have 2 people who signed up, Ron Esparza and Kim Nichols. So we've got, now with ours, that's 300. So we're trying to help them get to their goal by Sunday.
By Sunday.
So if you're interested, I think you probably all received it. If not, just come see me afterwards.
Elizabeth, is that announcement also on Facebook and Instagram?
It should be.
Okay, I just don't know. So if anybody didn't hear, there's a great drive going on at Grocery Outlet, and so please check our Facebook and our social media on Instagram to go ahead and take advantage of that, and you could possibly win you could help a great cause, but also win 2 tickets to State of the City.
Sounds great.
Couple more announcements. We have, just as a reminder, we have our business networking group that is on the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays. The first Wednesday is a breakfast at Rockwell's in Villa Park. The 3rd Wednesday is a lunch held at Zito's on Tustin. Ribbon cuttings, we have Lutheran Social Services on August 18th at 4:30 p.m. Next Eggs and Issues, as we mentioned, will be here August 23rd with Fire Chief Sean DiMitropoulos. He'll be back to visit us in person. And then August, Chamber Mixer at Spine and Sport Physical Therapy. That's on the 25th at 5 p.m. So just make sure you follow us. All of our events are on social media. They're also at orangechamber.com. Special thanks to Haven Craft Kitchen and Bar, Chris and Will. Thank you so much. Breakfast was delicious this morning. Coffee, as always, was delicious. My favorite coffee, Chapman Crafted Coffee. What else? Thank you so much to our Chairman Circle sponsors. I'm like, who am I forgetting? I cannot forget our Chairman Circle sponsors. We could not do this without you, our staff, our members, and you in the community. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.